My name's John Mayers, for those that haven't been able to meet me yet. I'm married, I have 2 kids. My oldest attends Wilson Elementary. My wife Melissa works for Fort Hays State in the CAMS department. I currently work for Landmark Realty. I also work for West Husings Incorporated out of Stockton, Kansas. I live in Hays, but I'm able to be dispatched from my house. West Husings, we work on gas stations. They sent me to school, so I learned how to do the point of sales, the cash registers inside the stores, and I also work on the actual gas pumps. A lot of people don't realize this, but them gas pumps are pretty much big giant computers now. So you don't fix them by parts, you fix them by hooking a laptop up to them and uploading firmware and software and diagnostic tools and stuff like that. I attend church at St. Nick's, and I've lived here for right around 12 years. I enjoy the community here. I'm kind of local. I grew up in Albert, Kansas, so I went to high school at Otis Bison. After that, I lived 10 years in Manhattan, Kansas, and where I attended K-State and worked after I was completed with college. And I'm one of the people, I've kind of done a little bit of everything. Roundabouts, when I was in college, was kind of the big thing. That was, Manhattan was just getting started with them. Talking to the people, which I think is the more important thing, it is very animate one way or the other. I mean, hasn't been much of a and it's pretty 50-50, so it's hard to get a feel what they would like. The business owners are I think kind of indifferent right now. They want to see, the ones that I've talked to, they kind of want to see what the actual plan is. I think the most important thing right now is how much and who's going to pay for it. You know, there's several other issues going on right now that we're talking about, you know, like taxpayer money. So we don't have, there's probably not a lot of state money or federal money that's not going to go to that. The commissioners have already kind of mentioned that. The city managers mentioned that. So that's the real question, how much and who's going to pay for it. At this time, I can't see raising taxes to try to accomplish this if it's too much. I think from just the budget and stuff, I think we just need to play it kind of 1 year at a time and see what we have. Just to raise it to hope, you know, to maybe cover it for next year or so on and so forth. I don't. We just come up with your budget and then see what we need to do to pay for it. I do think, you know, even with our general fund coming from the sales tax, it's not that bad compared to several other communities. I know Hutch is, I think 9.1%. I think we're lower than both Dodge and Garden, but I'm not sure on that. I saw the numbers. Great Bend actually posted them the other day, and they're just slightly below us. And so, you know, I think it's a working model if we can maintain it. If it's always interested me, I've always, like I said, I've always been really busy. It was hard for me to actually attend a lot of the commission meetings. I'd go to some of the zoning and planning committees once in a while, but I would follow them online, and sometimes I don't feel like I'm personally represented very well, and I I kind of got tired of being the guy that liked to whine about it at gas stations and restaurants. And it's not just me. It's we've had lawyers and professors and small business owners and large business owners and heads of committees. I'm somebody, for the most part of my life, I've worked with my hands. I think I'm kind of the quintessential middle-class, hard worker, blue chip. Not super successful, but not unsuccessful. I'm, wife, 2 kids. I own my house. Sometimes the paycheck covers all the bills. Sometimes it doesn't. And I think I'm the quintessential, just middle class, hardworking laborer. So you hear, well, this is only going to raise your taxes $5 more a month, or another $100 a year. Well, for the person that's speaking, that might not be much. But if you're $5 short every month, adding $5 to it, that doubles your monthly debt. That is a huge, that doubles it. It might only still be $10, but it doubles it. It makes that much more stress on it. Now, as far as the taxes and all that, I believe taxes, if they're meant to go to what they're supposed to go to, are not a bad thing. And then they're inevitable anyway. We are going to have taxes. We're not going to have a tax-free society. Or city government in general, their jobs are for the infrastructure, public works, the city streets, the city parks, along those lines. And the same deal is, I think, some of the outside agencies, that's part of being, if you want to be Hays America, we need big brothers and big sisters. We need first call for help. We need those things. If we're going to be the western hub of Kansas, like I said, if you were going to be Hays America, those are things that we need. We need a good library. We need an aquatic park. I think trying to minimize the importance of those is a mistake. Hays is, you've heard this too, Hays is what Hays is, from the people that disagree or agree. Well, it is what it is. We are a middle-class community, but we have clean parks, we have our swimming pool, we have our library, and if you start taking away those, then what are we going to be left now with? I've always felt we're a heavy regulated city, and even as last night, the current commissioners have taken a good step forward with the city manager and kind of cut back some of the regulations. The breezeways, the large lot development. You start making rules before the bad stuff happens, and then you never get to see the good stuff. I like to see it a little bit more open, and that still doesn't say you can't see it on a base by base, and then you can make your decision from there. Give the community time to really inform, and I think that's one of the biggest roles of the commissioner. Is not voting for people, is listening to the community and giving them any information that you might have. Not every community member can be plugged in and attend every meeting and do that. That's part of your job, is to outreach to the community. If they're disagreeing with what you're seeing, explain to them, show them the facts, and see if they can make up their mind on their own. maybe they'll, there's some things that I've, the more informed I became on it that have changed my mind, So I think the information process, it's the outreach. Like I said, your representation. That is what any elected official should be, is a representation of a group of people. What Hays does affects all of Ellis County. It affects more than Ellis County. It affects a lot of western Kansas. I've heard that, people that they're like, I live 4 miles outside of town. I would love to vote for you, but I can't. Well, you can still give me your opinion. They work here in town. Their spouses work here in town. Their kids go to school here. They might not be able to, you still have an opinion, It all matters. You spend money here, So I think that's all important. They really haven't identified the issues or simplified it. Is economic development and affordable housing. Okay, I think economic development, you got really two sides of the coin. The first one is, since our sales tax, our general fund is paid for by our sales tax, that we need businesses that are sales tax contributors to help pay for our general fund. Promoting the growth of that. The next side is jobs. We need higher paying jobs, not just employment, but better paying employment. And I think that's the biggest issue at all. We need better paying jobs in Hays.
How would you do that?
It's tough. And like I said, that's part of the Coalition for Economic Development, is to bring in corporations and stuff like that. They're like, well, water's an issue. Well, a lot of those companies anyway, we're still talking about $10 an hour, $12 an hour pay scale. We need $20 an hour and $50,000 salaries, So few things that I think that could be looked into would be as a transportation warehouse hub, being located between Denver and Kansas City. We do have an airport that could be utilized. We'd have our trucking, off the interstate. Schwaller made kind of a joke about, well, Amazon isn't coming here. No, they're not going to build their 8.1 acre second headquarters here in Hays, Kansas. It would be big. They'd employ more than what Hays, Kansas is. It would be bigger. But why couldn't we bring in an Amazon warehouse and distributor? Bigger UPS, FedEx. There's, all sorts of, there's too many trucking firms to even name, We could focus on some of that. What is Hays, Kansas? We're middle class, but we're skilled laborers. Is a good point. We're skilled technicians. We have welders and nurses and construction workers, electrical, HVAC, plumbers. We have a lot of guys that can do about anything with a little bit of training as well. We also have, a good college, Fort Hays State, but we don't need to forget the technical college. So as far as bringing in manufacturing, okay, like welder, metal workers, okay, welders, stuff like that. Technical college is right there. We could put out a lot of young employees, trained employees, to fill them seats. Affordable housing. I know what people say because I say the same thing for bought my house. I don't want to spend that much for that house. Okay, the market dictates how much that house sells for. So there's two ways to look at it. They didn't define what they're really looking for. Are we talking about supplemental housing, or what? Taxpayer-funded housing, either through government, state, federal, state, or local. Do we want people to take less money for their houses? Because that's, who's going to be the first one who does that? If you're making $10 an hour, it's going to be hard to buy a house wherever you live. Okay. Some of the things that people look at, smaller communities, and look at the housing market there, well, you're kind of comparing apples and bananas, not even oranges. It's a good chance you've got to look at everything. A lot of these smaller communities have higher property taxes than what you have here. There are solutions to affordable housing, but none of them are easy solutions.